Hi, folks. How's everybody doing? This is me. 21 years you've been looking at this sorry face. Ah, more football being played. We'll talk about it. Fan reaction. We'll talk about it. People being assholes. We'll talk about it because this is Moohead Radio and I am your host, a big and furry bovine. I hope all of your weekends went well and all of your dreams came true. It was brought to my attention that Patrick Mahomes was, basically yelling in the locker room to the Chiefs, "You asked for it and you got it." To the victor goes the spoils, right? And I guess the Bills' response was turning off the hot water in the Chiefs' locker room after the game. You know, people in sports who are assholes, it really, honest to God, has gone on since the beginning of time. I'm sure that there were early forms in the Greek Olympics of just trash talking, or even in Shakespearean times, thou art beaten, fool, that kind of thing. It would have sounded more literary, but it was the same shit in essence, right? So Patrick Mahomes was just doing what everybody does today, which is to be a bad winner. CJ Gardner, flipping the ball back to Baker and, here, you can have it, bitch. Yeah. Really class. But I got one that beats all. All right. You would think in a football game where people are kicking in the pile, gouging, trying to hurt one another, then go out for a drink afterwards, that the trash talking would be the fiercest, or in basketball where Draymond Green kicks you in the nutsack. You think that basketball would be bad, or beanballs throwing at the batter's head 95 miles an hour. You think that would be what you'd expect. So that I would pluck from one of these sports, or even soccer, that I would pull something out of history that would be the prime example of a guy winning, making an ass of himself. And I found it, by God, and I'm going to share it with you because I'm just that kind of cow. We're going to share this, and you're going to say to yourself, what the fuck? So, with that in mind, here we go. The setup, this is Pete Weber, the bowler, winning the 2012 Professional Bowlers Association Championship. You just have to see this to believe it. Just turn your sound up. This is really just too goddamn much for me. Here we go.
Strike to claim it. A strike to claim it. And he got it!
That is right. I did it. Another 5. Are you kidding me? That's right. Who do you think you are? I am. Get it right.
Who do you think you are? I am. I don't even want to run that again, although I should. Here we go. He wins by 1 pin, by the way.
Strike.
Barely bowled over 200, fucking, but.
And he got it!
That is right. I did it. Another 5. Are you kidding me? That's right. Who do you think you are? I am.
Well, enough of Pete Weber. Oh, for God's sakes, make that stop. So there have been assholes yelling at the fans, "Who in the hell are you? I'm the one. What are you here for? Me. He's just rolling a goddamn 16-ounce sphere down a wooden lane, fuck him in the ass. I don't care. This whole me thing has been going on for a long time, folks. And you can't be a gracious winner anymore. And I thought that painted an early picture of one of the most ridiculous things ever. By the way, Pete Weber had been suspended 5 times in his bowling career because of behavior, and it somehow doesn't surprise me. I can understand why players are happy to win. I get that. But why do you denigrate the people you just beat? That I don't understand. You just did by beating them on the field. I guess I don't get it. Really weird shit. We're going to bring Hammer Time in. Hey, Hammer Time, how you doing?
Speaking of people who just don't get it, here I am.
Well, you and me both. I am totally confused. I don't understand. But be that as it may, it sets up the program for what it is today, which is it isn't just the people playing the games, it's the fans who are the biggest assholes of all because they didn't do anything except sat on their fat asses and watched the game. Oh, but you know, they gotta throw their 2 cents worth in. So we'll start out by talking about Baker Mayfield. All right. I don't know what people are looking for. I don't know what people want. You know, maybe that's why nobody watches this podcast. I just can't cater to this stupidity. I just can't. And, you know, I looked at what happened yesterday, and, you know, Baker Mayfield threw for 349 yards, right? He had 2 interceptions. Yes, he did. And in the time when he needed, and I don't know, somebody's trying to get in here, and I don't know this person. And who are you? Identify yourself. I don't recognize. Let's see if we can bring him in. What the hell? What's the worst that can happen? Let's bring him in.
It's been a long time no see.
Oh,
man.
dang.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I'm kind of going through my depression through the Texans loss this week, but I think I'll be just fine.
Yeah,
Hey, you can't feel too bad about that. That was a pretty nice run, winning a game considering where they were 2 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's never good enough, I understand, because we all have dreams and we're awakened from our dreams because only one team is destined to be the ultimate winner, you know?
Absolutely.
That's going to be the case. And the Texans did more than anybody expected. So you can't really complain about that.
And you got a good quarterback for the future.
I had them at 5 wins. They ended up winning 10. Then we ended up winning a playoff game. I had you guys beating us, especially with the 5th ranked defense or top 5 defense y'all had, Joe Flacco. I had you guys beating us to say, like the way we beat y'all, I had that in reverse. I actually had y'all beating us 38-21. People were calling me crazy, but yeah.
Well, I can tell you something. I never expect anything, and I think some of the fans really expect that they're going to win, and then their reaction afterwards is crazy. You know, and we're going to start talking about Baker Mayfield for just a short minute.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not important to me, because I want to state up front, I got nothing against Baker Mayfield. I have nothing for Baker Mayfield. I don't care about Baker Mayfield. I am curious now after this game if the Buccaneers have thrown him out of the stadium where he and his wife are living because they don't have a commercial endorsement. Other than that, I just hope he's not homeless after this. But yeah, he played a pretty good game, and not good enough because you can't turn the ball over like that. And the bros, as they're called, will say, well, it was off his hands. The first pass, I mean, if you want to call that catchable, that thing, he would have had to have gone up a ladder to get that. It was slightly behind him, too, and it was thrown 100 miles an hour. But I guess it was the second one that, with the game on the line, that people would criticize him for. Let me tell you what I know, not what I think, but what I know about Baker Mayfield.
All right.
A, he's not the tallest guy in the world, and he does get passes batted down. That's one. 2, he is slow-footed, and he can't escape when the pocket collapses. That's 2. 3, he has a very good arm, and he's capable of making a wide variety of throws. I'll say that. And he is an excitable boy, and he brings a lot of effort and a lot of emotion into the game, and he tries as hard as he can. All right? So there could be no issue of him slacking off or anything like that. He has been rejected, in essence, by 3 teams. And on this 4th one, he was joining a bunch of people who were not expected to do what they did.
Yeah.
And he got them and helped get them, not in totality by himself, but he helped them get to where they went. And he helped them go home. I mean, it's just the way it is. Joe Flacco helped us to get where we got to, and he helped us go home by throwing 2 pick sixes. I mean, this is the reality of the game.
Well, I think this helps out their free agency options, because I know Baker Mayfield's going to be a free agent coming up, so he can either probably get another couple-year extension with the Bucs. And depending on if y'all keep Flacco or not, that might audition him as a backup quarterback somewhere else. Same with Baker. So this does help on the resume.
What I will say is this: why badmouth a guy who just lost, and why glorify somebody just to get attention on the internet? He's just a guy like any number of guys in the NFL who are trying to have a full-time gig with a team, to live up to some of the promise that he showed in college and with the Browns in one season, trying to prove that he's more consistent than what some people think he would be. He's just trying to get a contract, folks.
Yeah, he's auditioning for a 3 or 4 year, like Geno Smith. Same thing.
Yeah. And Todd Bowles says he wants him back. I don't know what the Bucs are saying in their front office. I should bring What the Buck on. He'll know as time goes on what their plans are. But, I just don't wish anything bad. I hope he gets his multi-year. He's been through a lot. All football players have been through a lot. They all get hurt.
I mean, it didn't work out in Cleveland, but it can work out somewhere else. You know what I mean? That happens to certain quarterbacks or certain players where they're in a system where it just didn't work, and then they go somewhere else and they flourish, and you're like, damn, where was that guy at? I think that was the case for Baker Mayfield.
And
it also could be that he just had that hit at the right time thing. I'd say there's 3 types of people that are Baker people. It's the people like you spoke. I don't care one way or another. There's people who hope he does well. And then there's people who hope he sucks, and they hope he sucks hard and long. And that's those groups, because he ruined us. He left us, whatever the heck. No, they got rid of him. The other people were like, hey, he brought a lot of excitement to Cleveland. He turned around a team that was 0-16, and he had that great season, and he unlocked the beer fridges. So there's that group of people. I appreciate what he did for us. We won a playoff game with Baker Mayfield at quarterback and beat the Steelers in back-to-back weeks. That, to me, is a damn good couple of weeks. Anytime you beat the Steelers in back-to-back weeks. Same thing with Flacco this year. Flacco was a flash at the right time and the right place. When he came on, I don't know if you remember what I talked about. I talked about what he'd done the last 3 seasons, would generally suck. Okay, he was terrible the last 3 seasons.
Wasn't he sitting on the couch before y'all picked him up?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. The best game he had was, a year ago when he beat us with the Jets in that last couple of drives. We saw that for multiple games this year, but we also saw, the interceptions. DeMarco Ryans had time to go in there and with his staff create a game plan because they saw what he did. They did the right thing. So, for Baker, it's going to be one of those things. Either he's going to find another place. He's a guy, though, you just said it, Moo. He loves the game. He loves to play, and he gets the people around him and the fans excited.
Yeah.
And so,
But I don't know whether that in the long run benefits him. If you look at the most successful quarterbacks like Tom Brady, they weren't real excitable boys. Now, Brett Favre was actually a real emotional guy. But for the most part, the people, who are cool, calm, and collected give you the impression that, they're in the game at all times and they're not going into these outside realms. Here's the other things I can tell you about Baker. He's hot and he's cold. He brings you to 4-7, then he brings you many wins in a row. He has never learned with a pass rush up the middle to really be able to get outside of that, to be able, he's slow-footed, and he very often takes unnecessary sacks because he doesn't just throw the ball away, because he would be grounding the ball because he can't get out of the pocket. And there are vision problems over the offensive line.
That's a big one.
When he's hot, he's hot.
Yeah.
And, so everyone loves to see a guy on a roll. It's just like watching LeBron James go a video game in a basketball game, or Donovan Mitchell, where, man, like fire can't miss. Like Georges Niang the other night, just like, I'm going to shoot it off 1 foot fading away. It goes in. I'm going to shoot it from 25 feet. It goes in. I'm going to throw a hook shot. It goes in. There's excitement about that, but you got to bring week after week after week the same intensity and the same skill set. And too often Baker regresses into double clutching before he releases the ball. He still doesn't totally believe his eyes. And I think that this was a great season outcome for him. I hope the Bucks give him the contract. I hope somebody does, because I got nothing against the guy. He's trying to make a living.
Well,
And-
what other options do the Bucks have, though, if they don't re-sign him?
Oh, that's just it. I mean, unless they just decide to go in a completely different direction, because it's something we don't know about, But the next thing I want to talk about is, like, we talk about, because there's a lot of talk right now because Andrew Berry spoke about it, about whether Stefanski is willing to give up play calling. He said that, well, he would be, but that's one of his strengths. We've questioned on this program some of the ridiculous gadget plays and calls that Kevin Stefanski has made, and how that stopped when Flacco came on board. Maybe he in his darkest of hearts believed that the Browns offense wasn't good enough to get yardage without tomfoolery and trickery. But what the Buffalo Bills did in a punt situation on 4th and 5 has to go down in history as one of the worst, most brutal decisions, and would be, if this were, part of the Bills Mafia network, I'd be screaming for the coach's head. It's like, and then you give the ball to Hamlin. You're gonna go for it on 4th and 5 with the ball in your own territory behind 3 points in the game that's going to get you to the championship game, the game you've been waiting for. And you want to go for the touchdown. You don't want to settle for the field goal because there's Scotty Norwood. And now there's Big Mouth Billy Bass. I mean, it's like a nightmare that keeps, it's like a reincarnation of a fucking nightmare. And so on 4th and 5, you hand the ball off inside to Damar Hamlin?
Yeah.
Do you think he's magic, that he came back from death once, that he's going to somehow get the first down on that play? I mean, Who is calling that shot and why? I'm sitting at home watching, shaking my head and saying, that's really fucking stupid. You just took the ball out of your quarterback's hands. You were doing well throwing short passes, getting down the field. And you obviously would need to get it closer, but I don't think there was anything close enough for that destiny wouldn't have altered. After the game, Billy Bass, it's like, take him to the river. Then we're going to do Billy Big Mouth Bass. Drown him in the water. I mean, every Buffalo fan had to feel like it was deja vu. It's like, Andy's coming out for this field goal. It's like, aim it a little bit to the left. I don't care if it's not perfect down the center, just a little left, a little more left, you know, and it's like, woo!
Shades of that Norwood missed field goal. Oh, God, that's going to have
Absolutely. I
nightmares
mean,
in
it
his
was like
sleep.
a fucking nightmare relived.
Oh,
And
God.
The thing never looked good when it left his foot. It was Cade Yorkian. And,
Oh, God.
you know, and I hate to do it, but, you know, the second they went for it on 4th and 5, the nightmare began. If you're a Buffalo fan, it started right then and there because you knew, oh, my God, we're trying so hard to get the touchdown because deep in our souls, we don't want the field goal. We don't want to be trying to tie the game at the end of the game. We can't do that. And so, sure enough, what happens? That's what happens.
So the Bills outbeat the Bills, just like the Bengals outbeat the Bengals, and the Lions outbeat the Lions, and the Browns outbeat the Lions. I mean, the Browns.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's bad coaching stands out in any and then I'll have the third thing, the third takeaway. You're only as good as the last thing you did, right? And so all of this Jordan Love, I mean, that last throw, I mean, if you want to talk about Baker Mayfield, that's nothing compared to what Jordan Love did. It's like, okay, son, you got 51 seconds. Go, be calm, be cool. All you got to do is 25 more yards. You can get the ball in the field goal range. And, you know, you got a not so good field goal kicker, but at least it will give you a chance here. And he's like, I'm going to scramble right, stop, throw across my body to the middle of the field because that's what I learned in junior high never to do. And he said it.
And he never did that the whole game until that play.
Nope. He said it after the game. That's the first thing I've been told never to do. Why did you do it?
I wonder if the NFL has something to do with that. Jesus. Now everybody's talking about how it's rigged and all that stuff. The Super Bowl logo, too, with the Ravens-Niners colors.
Well, I'll do my famous noise. And just picture in your mind Jordan Love running to his right and then stopping and looking back toward the middle of the field. And this is what you'll think of. A total freak out.
Yeah.
Unreal. So
and
that's
then,
my
and then don't forget, did you see the interception that was made? I can't think of who the guy's name was, but they kept telling him to go down, and he kept trying to run the ball. He could have fumbled that ball.
Oh,
and if he would have, that would have been in the middle of the field with 20 seconds left. Oh, God.
Another me moment. It's like, look, you made the big play. Isn't that enough? No, I want to go all the way. I want to prove that I'm an open field, broken field runner.
They were telling him to go down, and he was just ignoring them, and he just kept trying to cut through. I'm like, dude, you're about to fumble.
Yeah, from what I understand, that's what Deshaun Watson did. He kept telling people to go down.
Got
him in a big trouble doing that. I'll talk about him in just a moment.
He'll be back next year.
He'll be back. We'll see what happens. According to Zach Jackson of The Athletic, the Browns are working toward hiring former Alabama offensive coordinator Tommy Rees. No exact position has been determined, but Rees is absolutely determined to get the fuck out of Alabama. And he said afterwards, for this report, who in the hell wants to live in Alabama with a bunch of uneducated people who live in double wides, quote unquote. I'm tired of these people who can't spell. No, I'm just making this up, folks. Everybody's getting out of Alabama because NIL. Everybody loved Alabama until, wow, there are now other people who will pay to get this and do it legally, or what they consider to be legally. Wow. So the sources are saying that Tommy Rees will be hired as a tight ends coach, and he'll have a role in the overall development of the passing game. Now, this is interesting because Callie Brownson is, I don't know what she does. And Chad O'Shea, it's like, I guess when the ball leaves the quarterback's hands and technically hits the Browns receivers, that's what Chad O'Shea has to deal with. And we're going to have another guy who's got offensive coordinator background in college. And I don't know when the last good quarterback that really came out of Alabama was. But be that as it may, he's a tight ends coach is what they're looking at, because the Browns know that they have no draft picks to get more wide receivers. And even if they did, they wouldn't draft them because they never do. So we're going to make this fucking tight end thing work one way or another. That's what this tells me. If there's truth to this, we need a tight ends coach like we need syphilis. We need an offensive coordinator, by God. If this happens, it will make Rees a second-time guy in the NFL. He spent one year with the former San Diego Chargers working as an offensive analyst. That means that he was a therapist for people when the offense failed. He was an offensive analyst under head coach Mike McCoy, the Mike McCoy. Otherwise, Rees has contained all of his work and his resume to college football. But this would be his third stop in as many years. All right. He took a leap of faith. What a thing to write. By leaving Notre Dame. He was the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at Notre Dame. Nick Saban wanted Rees in Tuscaloosa to work with Jalen Milroe, and they were able to have some success. Some. Of course, you know the story of Alabama. Rees will be replacing T.C. McCartney, who was fired by Cleveland following the AFC divisional round loss to the Texans. McCartney, who used to be with Lennon and Starr and Harrison, was previously held the position for the last 2 years. So that's it.
I thought he was with Denny Lane too, wasn't
he? Yeah. It was in his ears and in his eyes. Absolutely. We shouldn't make fun of Denny Lane. He's dead. Denny Lane. Oh, God. I mean, how weird is that? That Paul McCartney would hire a guy named Denny Lane after writing Penny Lane and so many years after to be in Wings. I always thought that was weird and freaky and always bothered me. Now, the Browns have also interviewed my buddy, Ken Dorsey. Ken used to live down here and actually had several very nice conversations with him. And he was going to come on this program. However,
he found out what it was about.
He got the job. No, until he heard the kind of language I use. And no, it had to do with getting the Buffalo gig. Yeah. So, they're going to talk to him about the vacant offensive coordinator position. And I really don't know. I know that Ken Dorsey's been a quarterback's coach, but I don't know anything, about what kind of credentials he has as an offensive coordinator. And no, he won't come on the show if he comes back to the Browns. I think we're feeding back from somewhere, and I don't know where that feedback is coming from. So hold on a minute. Hello. Okay, it's probably coming from Steven. That would be my guess. All right. So, yep. Dorsey's only 42 years old. He was fired by Sean McDermott with Buffalo, having, lost an incredibly bad game to the Broncos, and they let him go. And at the time, Josh Allen led the NFL with 11 interceptions after a 5-5 bumpy start. So,
Josh Allen's always, though, been that feast or famine interception guy. I mean, that was one of the big knocks on him when they were going to draft him. they talked about Josh Allen can throw the ball a mile, and you saw him throw those balls. Holy moly.
Hey, it's positively Bobby. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going like a little bit Lions. I was driving by people wearing their Lions hats. People I've known in this neighborhood for 20 years, and I had no idea they were Lions fans, except they were hiding it. You see, in their closet, somewhere deep in their closet, there were all this paraphernalia, and all of a sudden they're wearing it like bling. So I said, "Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wear a little bit of kind of lion-esque bling." What the hell?
What was it? Was it old Lion stuff, or did it look like it just came from Fanatics last week?
Oh no, this guy was walking down the street with a hat that it looked like somebody had sat on for about 20 years. Yeah. It was dingy, to say the least.
It's like,
how are you, Bobby? I hope everything is going well with you. And I never know what to do, whether I should give you a call or what I should do. So you lead me, Bobby. You lead me, okay? But Bobby's from Michigan, so he's like living a dream, living an absolute dream. Yeah. And one game away, can they do it? And
I wonder how much those line tickets were going for the divisional round. Probably an arm and a leg.
I'll tell you something. The Jared Goff played a good game. He didn't turn the ball over. That was a huge difference in the game. He kept his composure, and that's exactly what you want to see a quarterback do.
Yeah.
And we are still feeding back. You've got to do something about that because I'm a stickler for that kind of stuff. And Captain Fierce is saying he wishes the Lions luck. I don't think that they can do it if Debo won't play. I think they could do it if Debo doesn't play. I'm not really high. The 49ers got destroyed by teams in our division. And a defensive kind of rugged team like Dan Campbell has really has a chance against the 49ers. I don't see the 49ers, I don't see Brock Purdy as anything really special at this point. He's a better than just a game manager. But without the real big play, if it gets down and dirty and in the trenches, I give the Lions a chance. A
better chance than anybody else. They run the ball well, and that's
I don't see the Chiefs doing anything to the Ravens. I really don't.
I think they're going to get crushed. But that was, in the Chiefs game, there is one thing, and it may be already on your agenda for today: the fumble out of the end zone. And how all of a sudden media today says they need to change that rule because that's just not fair to the other team. And the first thing I thought it was, karma, you bitches. Karma from the Browns game. It's exactly, as soon as I saw that, I go, oh, let that have gone through the end zone. But somebody described it really well on the internet today. They said, think about it this way. The end zone is a fort. And when you get to that fort, if you fumble the ball through the fort, you've given it to the other team, basically, which is what happened. That rule says that when you fumble it through the end zone, you don't do it, don't recover it. It goes to the other team. So that's the process. And the rest of the part is the battle.
Are you talking about the process after you catch it?
No. He's talking specifically about if you fumble the ball and it goes in and out of the end zone, the other team gets the ball back on the 20-yard line. It's a touchback.
I'll never forget when Metcalf did that in D.C. in one game I went there. It's the old RFK Stadium.
Oh, yeah.
And he had this great run and whatever comes through and he fumbles it through the end zone. And we're just like, ugh. Of course, that was the year Washington went to the Super Bowl.
And I don't understand. There's a lot of things I don't understand. Like, for example, winning your division, no matter how smelly a season you had, gets you a home game.
Yeah, they need to change that.
I mean, I don't understand. If you're not rewarding wins, I mean, we go through this all the time when we're talking about this country's economics, about, what's the right way to stimulate the economy, It is like, well, it ain't printing more money, and we get into all these arguments. This is one of these things that I don't understand. It's like, if you want teams to win, and if they win more games, they deserve the home game. If you're, 10-7, or if you're 9-8, you don't deserve a home game. If another team's 11-5 or 11-6, it doesn't make sense to me.
Remember the year Seattle went 7-9. The Saints were 12-4.
Yeah, I mean it just and it's like everything that I've ever seen is strength of opponent. Everything that is in college basketball, college football, everything is the strength of schedule. Well, the strength of schedule is a lot easier if 6 of your fucking games are in the NFC South. I mean, or in the AFC South.
True.
It's a lot easier to beat those teams than it is if you're in the AFC North. And it's not fair. And I don't understand the rule about fumbling. You can call it a fort. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But it doesn't, if the other team doesn't have possession, then, I mean, I'm at a loss to say if you fumble the ball out of bounds anywhere else,
you get the ball back.
You get the ball where it went out.
Nobody
had possession.
Or you can't fumble forward, obviously. So wherever you fumbled it, but yeah.
Didn't y'all have a better record than us, right?
Yeah.
And it does matter when you get a home game in the wild card.
Oh, it's a huge difference. And you work the whole season, and it's like not the Browns' fault, but the Ravens were the best team. And I told you that in the beginning of the year, that the Ravens were the favorites and that they were the best team. We knew that going in. But the Browns defeated the Ravens, and they defeated, they defeated lots.
And y'all beat us in the regular season too.
Beat
on
the
head-to-head.
49ers too.
Yep.
And here we are, and we're taking a back seat, and it's not to denigrate the Texans, but
it is a disadvantage. It is a disadvantage because the Browns were bad on the road. So if you guys beat us,
True.
and then you had more wins than us in the regular season, at least if we're 4-5, they should award y'all the home game and have the 4 seed go to the 5th seed.
And the Texans were only in the damn thing by the grace of the Jaguars, just stopping
taking the
playing.
gas pipe.
Yeah, that's what happened. So there's a
up.
lot of rules I don't understand, and maybe I never will. Now the Browns are going to interview quarterback coach Jerry Johnson from the Texans.
Maybe he can turn somebody into CJ Stroud. I don't know if that didn't happen, but
he can turn the former quarterback there to the new quarterback there.
I think years ago I had a Facebook post, and it came back around. I'm trying to think who was it Shanahan? Was he in Denver at one point in time? And I think I posted something like the Browns were trying to interview Mike Shanahan for the new head coach. And the first question they asked him was, can you turn one of our players into Peyton Manning? It's like, yeah, no, that's not happening, people. So,
I mean, tell me something, Steven, that I want to know, because I got more than an eyeful of Texans fandom because of the playoff game that we shared. Why do Houston fans hate Deshaun Watson?
Well, I'm going to be echoing, so I'll make this fast. I think it had a lot to do with him not wanting to be here anymore. And so it kind of rubbed people off the wrong way. Him taking his feud to Twitter with the front office, and then him refusing to play the final year. And I think that rubbed fans off the wrong way. They saw him as a quitter. I think the massage thing just kind of added to the element, but I think it had a lot to do with the fact that he didn't want to play for us the last year, and he demanded a trade, wanted a trade, couldn't find any suitors. Then those cases popped up, made it worse. And, we had to find a suitor. The only one that was offering a deal was Atlanta. And then we ended up backing out of it. I don't know why, but then you guys ended up offering us a house for him. So,
yeah, it's a lot like this resentment about, LeBron taking his talents to South Beach.
Yeah.
I wonder how could you hate LeBron James when he gave the city the only legitimate championship of any athlete and gave all those years of his career playing in the city of Cleveland? How can you hate him? And I guess that's what it comes down to, because they considered him, that what I was hearing from fans wasn't anything about, his Willie jumping out of a towel. It was about, he walked on us. He did not want to be a Texan, and we don't want him to succeed because fuck him. He didn't want to be one of us. That's the vibe I got. So that would be accurate.
Well, he already made it clear he wasn't playing. He said, if you don't trade me, I'm not playing. So he made it very clear, and he took it to Twitter with the front office, like, don't expect me to suit up if you're not going to trade me. So they had no choice but to deactivate him.
Yep. And around the league, the Bears finalizing Shane Waldron as their next offensive coordinator. Oh boy, Waldron was the first of 9 reported candidates the Bears requested to interview. And I guess the first guy who said, well, maybe I will work with Justin Fields. You're hired. You're hired.
Can he play tackle?
Yeah, exactly.
Can he play both tackles?
The last 3 seasons, he was trying to get Geno Smith to get the ball in the end zone. So honestly, he was ready to roll, and he's now going to be an offensive coordinator for the Chicago Bears. So that was one name that was being brought up in terms of the Browns, but not something the Browns were really interested in. Here's another interesting thing. The New England Patriots are prepared to, show me the money, according to their new head coach, Jared Mayo. This is the kind of thing that, honestly, if you're Robert Kraft and you're not getting jerked off in a Korean massage parlor, that you don't want to hear. I mean, this is exactly what the head coach said. We're bringing in talent 1,000%. That means you don't have any on the roster. I'm just telling you how this will be interpreted in the locker room. We have a lot of cap space and cash. We're ready to burn some cash.
That means overpay for somebody?
Well, Robert Kraft is like, oh, wait a minute.
Whose money is that?
Wait a minute. My flag lapel on my little suit just wilted. We don't spend money, we invest money. God, who have I hired? This man, Jared Mayo? I don't know. Mayo.
What was the stat? Bill Belichick drafted more NFL head coaches than he did 1,000-yard receivers.
Mayo,
Julian Edelman is the only one.
Mayonnaise. The Patriots have $65 million in salary cap. That's 4th in the NFL, and this guy is ready to spend it after seeing the team he's taking over. He's like, let's start all over again. Let's just erase the board, Jared Mayo, ladies and gentlemen, like that's going to work. Not. And a guy who was a hot name not that long ago, Sean Desai. You remember him? The Eagles have fired him. First they humiliated him by demoting him. The Eagles defensive coordinator, okay? They said, we have no defense. And it's like, oh, you got more problems than that. You've got Jalen, and he hurts. He's not doing so good. But they demoted him, and then they decided to finish him off. It's like, we wanted to humiliate you for a few weeks, Sean, and then we're going to fire you. Desai was hired by Philadelphia to replace Jonathan Gannon, who became the head coach of the Cardinals in Arizona. Nick Sirianni, the head coach of the Eagles, then demoted Desai in favor of the Matt Patricia, another part of the Belichick tree, following blowout losses to the 49ers and Cowboys that dropped the Eagles to 10-3. But that didn't help. Sometimes you just hit that Jaguars moment where you know you have to lose. When you've got long hair, flowing hair, and it should be in a hair shampoo commercial, you wake up as Trevor Lawrence and realize, oh, it's time to tank. I'm hurt. Look what I did to my ankle. Look what I did to my shoulder. Oh my God, I hurt. Head and shoulders. The change to Patricia as defensive coordinator yielded 30 points per game. That Patricia came in and he really lent that final. And that included 32 points losing to the Tampa Bay Bucks. How do you give up 32 to Baker? You got to try real hard. So Desai was with the Bears from 2013 to 2021. He then was an associate head coach and defensive assistant with the Seahawks before taking the job in Philadelphia. Now he's shit out of luck. But I mean, it really is amazing. When we're having a problem, we're going to go with the safe pick, the Belichick tree. And it's like, oh, every time the Browns have done that. No. The only thing that would be worse if there was a Huey Jackson tree.
There is. It's in high school coaching, I'm sure. Somewhere there's a school in Alabama that's thrilled that they have somebody that coached under Huey.
Can you imagine having that on your resume? And it's like having a professional resume reader look at it and go, I think you should maybe take that out because I don't think that's going to help you.
Can't you just say you were unemployed for a year?
Yeah, you know, you were just kind of just reorienting yourself.
Yeah, the only thing last weekend, I didn't get to call in last week because I was really busy doing stuff. But I do want to say the only thing that took the edge off of losing was the fact that both the Eagles and the Cowboys got spanked so hard to the extent that Dallas is not even the most favored team. It's Stevens, Houston Texans are now the favored team in the state of Texas.
Yep.
And I love it.
Everybody loves a winner. That's why no one loves me.
And those people and the people in Texas are probably, they're like, hey, we're playing with house money. Okay, we lost. That's okay. The Cowboys still suck. They choked again.
Now, let me explain something that is amiss in my mind. If I were the Texans, I would be telling the players to shut the fuck up. They're all standing up there in front of the press saying, you have no idea how good we're going to be next year. And it's like, don't tempt fate. This is your first year at the rodeo. It was great. You were fortunate to get in, and you whipped on the Browns, and you did good in front of your home crowd. You shit the bed in the next game. But you got all these picks. And so, you have no idea how great we're going to be. Every year is different. Teams will know what you do. They will be looking at film and they will be learning.
Yeah, they'll be adjusting. Yep.
You got to have a running game. It's got to be better than Singletary. It's got to be better than the offensive line. Laramie Tunsil is basically playing on a pogo stick at this point in his career. He's a fine football player, but literally at least 5 times he started early in the Browns game and didn't get flagged for it once. The first fucking play of the game, he did that. Bam, they threw a flag at him. And that shit stopped in a hurry. Because, hey, he needs an extra half a step now because he's like 37, 38 years old. You got to replace people, but if you replace Laramie Tunsil, how will you know he's going to be as good or anywhere near as good as that player?
Oh, absolutely.
So, everybody thinks, this is the start of something big. And that's what the Browns try to convince themselves in 2020. 1 year does not a career make. And what CJ Stroud has to do, besides praying, which is fine if he wants to pray, he's got to get better every year. He's got to learn how to adapt to the changes that teams are going to throw at him. And we'll see. I hope he's good at it, and I hope he does well. But there are no assurances. No assurances. There are a lot of quarterbacks who've had the start off as being really, really good. And then, look at Cam Newton. I mean, after his Super Bowl appearance, people were said, sky's the limit, man. Sky's the limit to this guy. And what happened?
Terrible.
You just can't know. And I would have the players don't provide locker room material before the season even begins, telling the world how great you're going to be, because every team is going to get fired up to kick the shit out of you.
Even the Jacksonville did that last year. They said, we're going to be winning this division for years, and then this year they collapsed.
Yep.
They almost did. I mean, nothing is guaranteed in the National Football League. Hall of Famer Dan Marino, Super Bowl 1984, never got there again.
That's right.
And never got there again. And you're thinking,
Jim Kelly.
Yeah. Got there 4 times, never won. But but Marino's a great example of that. How you think of it and you go, how many Super Bowls has Brett Favre won? One.
Yep.
One Super Bowl. That's it. One.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's nothing that says that.
But he got John Madden to blow him.
Yeah. So
before I get out of here, just a few quick things. Cavaliers won a bunch of games in a row. 8 games in a row now?
Yeah.
And they're playing on the road against a team that's beaten them twice this year and beaten them handily, and that's the Orlando Magic. And we'll see how the Cavaliers do. The thing that's been most interesting in watching the Cleveland Cavaliers for me is when Mobley and Darius Garland went away, the team started playing better team ball, and the ball movement got better, and something really weird happened, and that's that Sam Merrill is suddenly the first guy off the bench and throwing in threes, raining in holy hell from threes. And it's like, Utah State? Really? And he's just firing the ball in, and he shoots really, really well. And that's like something the Cavaliers were drafting, we're signing free agents like Max Strus and Georges Niang. And it turns out that this guy who is just floating around the league doing nothing is the first guy off the bench, and he's shooting 41% from three-point land. It's really some kind of story. And what it's done is it has quieted the Amani Bates talk from fans who thought that Amani Bates was on a two-way, that he was going to get minutes this year. Well, the headlines aren't good because Amani Bates has been suspended from the Cleveland Charge. And I don't undernd for a post-game incident.
He went into the stands.
Why?
I don't know. I just saw that. I saw that right before we got on the air. And I go, what the heck?
Damn, I didn't know
want a
about
better
that.
seat?
Somebody had a really good hot dog and a pretzel with mustard on it.
But 19-year-old kid, and he's got talent, but he failed in college because of his attitude. And this is the last thing you wanted to see from this young man who is throwing up threes and shooting about 40% from three-point range, but is really ball hogging and taking, it's an incredible number of threes, like 13 himself per game. Some crazy number. But he has done well in the G League, but lots of people do well in the G League because it's not the NBA. It's the last thing you want to hear is that this guy is showing bad judgment because some people can't stand success. And I hope this kid isn't one of them because he's got a boatload of talent, but the Cavaliers are proving they don't need him. The Cavaliers, it would be nice to have a young star player because Donovan Mitchell isn't going to be around forever. That we know. But
True.
it's really, right now, it's fun watching them because Jared Allen is getting a chance to show offense as well as his rebounding and defensive skills. We're seeing Max Strus busting his ass. Not just he's had a shooting slump, but he's playing defense. He's moving without the ball. He's driving to the basket. He's fine. You know, the defense from Isaac Okoro, what he did to Trae Young was absolutely fantastic. And watching them play an organized kind of ball where they're helping one another out defensively is tremendous. And they're, because they're making extra passes. Craig Porter Jr. coming off the bench. You know, we don't need Karis LeVert. I know that he's an emergency scorer, but the ball moves better when the CPJ is in the game. And that's what sets up these open threes for Niang and for Merrill. It's what opens up the floor for this team, and it keeps the ball hopping and the tempo moving so that the Cavaliers don't look like the Miami Heat in this half-court funk. They got to pick up the pace a little bit, and it starts with defense, and from there, it starts with ball movement. And it's so great to see that it's happening right now. The question, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Question, and then what?
Yeah, the question is, when these guys get back, Darius Garland, can he play with Donovan Mitchell? That's the first question. Do we have, you know, Wall and Bradley Beal? Is this another one of these things where one guy's got to have the ball in his hands too much? And, you know, Garland is a small guard. He's a fine player, but he's not going to help you defensively. You know, and then Evan Mobley. It's like, are you just going to park him at the elbow so he congests traffic in the lane? Are you going to let him try to have more of an offensive role from 15 to 17 feet out? What are you going to do? Because Jared Allen is playing his best basketball right now and is showing that he has a 15 to 17 foot shot, as well as going to the basket, as well as doubling for like 9 consecutive games. I mean, it's been impressive, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. And then and I shouldn't be telling secrets that Donovan Mitchell's agent wants him the hell out of Cleveland. I shouldn't be, you know, that's the bottom line. And it's going to happen. And the Cavaliers, if they want to get something for him, they're going to have to get something for him. He wants to play in Miami.
Do you think that the Cavs should try to trade him sooner than later?
Yes. I don't think they're going to have a choice. You never do. That is what my understanding is. And my understanding isn't just by me sitting around going, what do I think? Yeah. He's not going to stay in Cleveland. This is a great way for him to show off his wares. But Miami is his first pick, and New York would be his second pick, and it's all about the city. I want somebody who, like LeBron James, it was all about the city, but not in the sense of glamour and glitz, winning a championship. That's the kind of players I want. So you got to do what you got to do. And I understand a player gets to a point in his career where he thinks that he deserves to have the say where he wants to go. God bless him. Get something for him. Move forward. That's how I look at it.
I think the Cavs could get something out of that, a couple of draft picks, some players out of that deal.
Well, I mean, you can only hope that you can build on what you have, because we're getting some production from players that is helping us. I love Spida. I love watching him play. Just a vastly talented player. But, you know, if it's not a love connection for him, then he's going to end up going where he's going. And
exactly. If he's going to leave anyway, you get something for him rather than just let him go in free agency
I'll tell
when
you
his contract's up.
I'll tell you something else. I don't know if most people here are the Cavaliers fans. I mean, they're Cleveland sports fans. But Karis LeVert and Donovan Mitchell share an agent. Same guy. That agent is so pissed off at the Cavaliers organization because Karis LeVert is playing too many successive minutes, and so is Donovan Mitchell playing too many successive minutes, meaning not just overall, but all at once. They had LeVert on the floor for 18 consecutive minutes, and the guys had a history of lower extremity problems. Donovan Mitchell was being played 16 to 17 minutes per stretch, and that is not what the agent wants. The agent, and I can't speak for Donovan, but the agent wants him out of Cleveland. The agent has had a problem with the Cleveland Cavaliers, problem with the way JB Bickerstaff has chosen to play his players, and that is the reason. So when it happens, don't be surprised.
Doesn't Donovan still got 2 years left? I think he's got a player option in the 25-26 season.
But once it goes sour, it goes sour. You don't want a situation where you end up with a Kyrie Irving situation. You don't want that.
So would you suggest trading him before February 8th this year or wait until the summer?
It's when you can get what you're looking for. And the problem is if there's somebody who's as crazy as Jimmy Haslam was with Deshaun Watson, then you can look at something like that. The Cavaliers are we still will have Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and we'll have our other guys. Will it be as good as if we had a Spider? No, obviously not. There'll be even less national attention. But that's really, I mean, what Donovan Mitchell wants is a lifestyle to go with his talent. And that is in Cleveland. For me, Northeast Ohio is great for my lifestyle. But if you're a swinging dick jock, no. That's not, that's what drove J.R. Smith crazy. It's like he had nowhere to go. They took the sidewalks, they folded them and pulled them out, at 10 o'clock at night, and poor JR had nowhere to go. So, and one last thing, two things actually. Ron Rivera to interview for the Eagles defensive coordinator job. Ron Rivera, that's the name. Yeah, it's like, no, how the mighty have fallen. And then lastly, not good news, Cubs Hall of Famer Ryan Sandberg diagnosed with cancer. If you didn't read, he has a metastatic, let me get this right so I don't get this wrong, prostate cancer. Now, metastatic, prostate cancer, the question is how far along? And we're not getting that information. All prostate cancer, when it starts, is very slow moving. Let's hope and pray that's the case for Ryan Sandberg. Hell of a ball player and a hell of a Chicago Cub. So let's hope that everything works out well for him. And that's all I have for you today.
Hey, Mr. Muad, you want to hear something cool before you close up?
Sure.
Am I still echoing?
No.
Okay, let me know when I'm going to make it quick. Okay. What do they have in common? Miami drops from number 2 to number 7 on Sunday Night Football, then loses in the wild card round. Jacksonville does a complete clusterfuck, losing their last 4 games and dropping from should have been a division winner, possibly number 2 seed, number 1 seed at one point, to falling. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers losing, Florida State getting robbed, and Ron DeSantis dropping out of the race the day before the Bucs lose. What do they all have in common?
What's that?
Disney hates Florida because Disney owns ESPN. They have the rights to most of ESPN. They also do business with the NFL and the NBA and major sporting events. And they own most of Hollywood, right? Because they have contracts with them. And Disney hates DeSantis so much they hate Florida teams. So the theory is that Florida's screwing their own teams over because they hate Florida. Disney hates Florida. I thought that was a fun little cool little.
Yeah, it's always a good take. And as far as DeSantis is concerned, His favorite rock band has to be Humble Pie at this point.
Nope.
What a jerk off he is. What a jerk off. I mean,
But isn't it crazy? All those things simultaneously happen.
yeah. Well, I mean, you fuck with big money. This is what you get. Yeah, but DeSantis will be happy just being a czar here in Florida. Believe me, he's, he just loves to throw his weight around, and he just wasn't as good at it as Trump. That's the bottom line. He was just out trumped. He thought he was going to be young Trump Jr. No. I mean, Trump could literally blow somebody's brains out live on CNN, and they would say, he didn't do it. He didn't do it. And a bunch of evangelical Christians will sit there and say, oh, thank you, God, for bringing us this murderer. He's the ultimate Teflon guy. And DeSantis should have known that, man. This is not, but he's happy. He's going to go ahead and take his little bribe money here in Florida, and everything will be just fine for him, I guess. And somebody has to tell Nikki Haley, get serious here. I mean,
You might want to drop out of the race too.
Well, she's going to give it one go, and then she'll be saying the same thing and singing the same tune. She's calling Trump now, dementia-addled, and that ain't going to go very
STDs. It's STDs is what it is.
far.
Is she going the Christie route?
I don't know. Nikki Haley is, if she stays in the race, she's going to lose her own home state. The people of South Carolina love Trump. I already know. I lived there. I don't live there anymore, but I lived there. So I know he's got a huge, huge following in South Carolina, and she would get slaughtered in her own state. There's no reason for her to stick around. After New Hampshire, and Trump's already got a double-digit lead there, she's going to have to get the hell out of the race.
Oh, yeah.
And if she wants to be anything in that party from this point moving forward, she better shut up. That's what it amounts to. All right, everybody. I'm done. Scotty Norwood feels better today. Yeah. Well, I don't know if he's ever going to play
Parkey too.
Yeah, they all all the hookers. Or that was not a hook. That was actually a shank.
That was just a straight up slice.
Yeah, that was just like my drive off the tee. Just terrible. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in. And Lenny the Cow, nice to see you, but I'm just leaving. That always seems to be the case, doesn't it, Lenny? Hey, where is Liberty Ford located these days, Joe? They don't say that anymore.
Maple Heights, Parma Heights, Vermilion.
I don't know how much. There used to be like 16 of them.
They still have a bunch.
All I know is the Ken Ganley woman. I mean, it's like
she is the tannest chick I've ever seen.
Oh, she lives in a tanning booth. She's going to have skin cancer. There's no question in my mind. And there is nothing. I mean, she can flash tit. She can do whatever. She's not going to get me into a Kia. I don't fit. So just leave me alone, Yeah. And she's winking. She's, whatever suggestive things. I want to start seeing her play with her nipples. I want to start seeing the hardcore shit.
Try and get you a cow-sized Kia, huh?
I'm done. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And look at me. I'm fair-skinned, and I live in Florida. We haven't seen the sun here in God knows how long.
You might as well be in Ohio for all.
It's been a funny season. But hey, I'm going to watch the Cavaliers. I'd urge everybody to do the same. Get behind the team. Football season's over. We got a team that is number 4 right now in their conference, and it's like let's give them a chance here and see what they can deliver.
Hey, a little love before you leave to a couple of cool things.
Sure.
Ohio State setting the women's basketball attendance record of over 18,000 yesterday for the Iowa game when they beat the number 2 Iowa Hawkeyes.
What was Ohio State's record going into that game?
They were ranked 18th. I want to say they've
Okay.
lost about 3. Yeah, so
Legitimate upset.
yeah, it's a legit upset, and they're a pretty darn good team. But the fact that they packed the shot is pretty darn cool.
And Caitlin Clark got leveled.
She did get kind of crushed. Gene Scott did go in there and apologize to her, or Gene Smith rather went in there and apologized to her.
Who was the Buffalo that hit her?
It was somebody with their phone up, taking film in the thing, didn't see her at all, and just basically plowed into her. And they got the security guys out there, but the security guys are all older than me by 10 years, and it's like they're getting out there with their walkers and trying to get in front of people, and it just wasn't happening. So that was a pretty cool thing. Also in Ohio State stories, the Ohio State men's volleyball team is now number 1 in the country. They beat previous number 1 UCLA, and also I'm the volleyball guy. The Professional Volleyball Federation kicks off this Thursday with the Columbus Fury at Grand Rapids, and the place is sold out, but what else is there to do in Grand Rapids? So there you go. So, and it will be on Stadium and Bally, and you'll probably find it, somewhere in the extra channels of your TV somewhere. So there you go.
All right, man. Cool. And thank you, Stephen. It was good seeing you again, by the way.
Yeah, man.
You're looking good. You're looking good.
Man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'll definitely be attending more shows. Yeah.
Yeah, you look bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good for you. And thanks, everybody, for tuning in and supporting the program. I do appreciate it. We'll be back again on Friday. Until then, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.
Moo.